Welcome to Mesa Now. I'm your host, Chris Brady.
And I'm Lily King-Cisneros.
In this episode of Mesa Now, we'll be talking about the arts in Mesa.
And I'll show you some of the perks that come with shopping in Mesa.
And we'll have two special guests with us on the show. Stay here because Mesa Now starts right now. With me now to talk about the Mesa Arts Center is the director of the Mesa Arts Center, Cindy Ornstein. Cindy, welcome to our program today.
Thank you for having me.
So Cindy, we know throughout the years a lot of things that take place at the Mesa Arts Center. And I'm sure we could talk about a lot of things, but kind of give us a sense of, those things that are the types of programs. Let me just go there first. Let's talk about the types of programs that the Mesa Arts Center tries to deliver, what your focus is. Maybe before we get to specific programs, tell us a little bit about the different venues you have, and then maybe we can get into more specifics.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, first of all, a lot of people may not realize we're the largest multidisciplinary arts center in the entire Southwest United States, which is quite something for our city to have as a point of pride. And that is 4 buildings on 7 acres.
Okay.
And there's a theater building with 4 different theaters then we have everything from national and international touring acts that we present to rentals that include things like outside production companies, dance competitions, to our wonderful founding resident companies and all the shows they do. Then we have a very successful class program. It's visual and performing arts classes for adults and youth. And we offer actually over 600 classes a year in everything from glass blowing to ceramics to acting and dance, belly dancing and modern dance, so all kinds of things.
Okay.
We have Mesa Contemporary Art Museum, which is a 5-gallery museum focusing on living artists, so all different kinds of things, everything from watercolor to crafts, to sculpture, to glass, so all kinds of media.
Right.
And then there's a wonderful array of free events and festivals, so 4 major festivals a year, 2 series of lunchtime concerts on Thursdays in the fall and the spring.
Okay.
And then there's a very large complement of outreach programs that go out into the community and to the schools.
Talk a little bit more about the outreach program. We had a chance today to talk about that earlier. Talk about what the outreach kind of component is. Talk maybe specifically about how far out into the community the schools you're able to get to.
We, of course, our first priority is servicing Mesa, and we work very, very closely with Mesa Public Schools and our local private and charter schools. We have wonderful relationships, but we also do deliver programming across the valley, and we have schools from across the valley that come to us. We have on the campus, we have a large Performing Live for Students program where we have shows in the theaters that the schools bus the kids in to experience. But we also go out into the community and we do programs from, we have a spoken word program that teaches kids about writing and performing. We have a great literacy through the arts program that uses drama to teach kids about reading and also give them a lot of skills for success and teamwork. We have a wonderful program for our older adults called Creative Aging, where we go into some of the senior centers and residences and do hands-on both movement and visual art classes with them, and they come to us. We have a class, free class that we do called Mature Moving Me for seniors on our campus. So it's very, very broad and varied. One of the biggest ones and very successful, in fact, nationally funded through the National Endowment for the Arts, is our Jazz from A to Z program.
Right.
And that has 2 parts. One part is that we teach teachers, and we also directly teach students on learning about American history using the history of jazz and the jazz music itself. And so it's a wonderful way to bring history to life and have it really be very relevant and meaningful to issues today. And then we also work with the jazz bands to prepare them for their national competitions that they participate in.
Excellent, very good. So if I'm live in the area, Mesa or otherwise, and I haven't had the opportunity to come and participate, enjoy any of the venues on the campus of the Mesa Arts Center, what would be some ways that I could find out more information so I could kind of be aware of what's going on? Help me out. What could they do?
There's a couple of things that people can do. First of all, of course, they can go to our website at mesaartscenter.com, arts with an S. And when they're there looking around, because there's a lot to read about,
right,
they might want to look for a button on the homepage where they can join our free e-newsletter, which they will get every 2 weeks. It will not only give them updates and tell them everything new that's going on, but it'll give them the opportunity frequently to get special deals and discounts, because we want people to open it up.
Sure.
So we give them some special things if they
That's
open
very good.
it.
Good idea. Now let's talk about, you have a lot of recurring events. You know you have some coming up during the next year or so. Maybe some highlights of some things that you're very excited about, you think that someone out there may be very interested in. Can you tell us about those?
Well, we have 4 major festivals a year, and we'd really like people to keep that on their radar, because it's a wonderful way to have a sort of holistic introduction to the Art Center, because we're really hopping those days.
Right.
So we have a big season kickoff the second Friday in September. Always kick off our season with a bang on a Friday night during second Friday. We have the Dia de los Muertos Festival in the fall, which is a celebration of Day of the Dead, but it's more than that. It's a really wonderful cultural celebration that everybody can enjoy. Mesa Arts Festival, the second weekend in December, is a great holiday shopping opportunity. And then our newest festival in March, during spring break from the Mesa schools, is Spark, Mesa's Festival of Creativity. And that is 5 days, the last 5 days of spring break. And it is a totally fun, wild, creative, immersive environment where there's tons of hands-on activities, bands, and performers that are very unique that you won't see anyplace else. In fact, this year we're bringing in 2 artists that have never performed in Arizona before. One from Austin, Texas, called Austin Bike Zoo. And they make giant Austin Bike Zoo.
Oh, okay.
In fact, they're part of the theme of the festival this year. They make these giant, colorful animals that are out of bikes, but the public gets to ride on them at the festival, including an 80-foot-long snake.
Holy smokes.
It's made out of bicycles. It's amazing.
Okay.
And then we're bringing in an artist named Annie Hickman with her Weaving the Wild. She's a movement artist, and she'll work with local dancers, but she creates these animal costumes. We have a little animal theme going on, where she does basketry weaving to create the head pieces, which are magnificent works of art, and they are so beautiful, and the characters engage the public, and it's really charming to watch them, with little children in particular, but with all members of the family, so they'll be there.
And finally, you've had, I don't know, an addition, but a new amenity, let's say, recently added with the Alliance Pavilion on your campus. Tell us a little bit about the pavilion and what kind of programming you'll expect from there.
Great, yes, we have a new addition, which is a new stage on the north end of the campus, and it does several things. I mean, one thing it does is it creates a sense of activation and welcoming as you approach the campus, so you sort of know, hey, you've arrived, and it will be right opposite the light rail, so that's a good message to send. But we've started already doing performances periodically there. Eventually, we plan to add more and more to the point where hopefully we'll get to the point where every Friday and Saturday night there's a free performance going on that stage, because we will be gradually building out that whole north area with tables and chairs and umbrellas and a small food service from our concession stand. And next year we'll be building a project that we got a big grant for, which is an interactive kiosk with multimedia screens where people can make artwork on site.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on at the Art Center. Cindy, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate that. Encourage you to sign up for the email, get connected with what's happening at the Mesa Art Center.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us on the show. Up next, Lily's going to show us how shopping in Mesa can get you some nice rewards.
Hi, I'm here at Dana Park, and we're going to find out if people know they can get some pretty cool rewards when shopping in Mesa. Have you ever heard of Shop Mesa?
No, I have not.
No, I have not.
I have not.
So do you know that if you buy anything here in Mesa, you can actually redeem it for some pretty cool rewards?
Oh, no, that's great.
All you have to do is shop Mesa, keep your receipts, and bring them down to the Mesa Arts Center box office. They'll redeem the tax dollars you spent with Mesa Bucks. Use your Mesa Bucks for museum admissions or live performances at the Mesa Arts Center.
That sounds great. I'm all about helping the arts and those types of programs. I support that.
That's great. My husband will be thankful. See, I can redeem all the money that I've spent and justify my shopping that way.
So don't forget to shop Mesa and get the arts. For more information, visit mesaartscenter.com or call 480-644-6500.
With me now to talk about the new changes going on at the Idea Museum is Sunny O'Rourke, who's the museum administrator for the Idea Museum. Welcome, Sunny.
Thank you, Chris. Good to be here.
So before we talk a little bit about the name change itself, talk to us a little bit about the process you went through. Just kind of give us some highlights when you were kind of challenged with, reinvigorating the museum and the activities that are there. Because there was an extensive process that took place. You just didn't wake up one morning and go, it's time to change our name from Amy to Idea Museum. Give us a little bit of background about what took place in that process to come up with this new concept.
Sure, I will be happy to do so. Well, first of all, this has been a 3-year process.
Okay.
And actually, I've been here 8.5 years, and even when I first came, I thought the name Arizona Museum for Youth didn't quite fit what we offer. But it took a while to get to know everyone, to get to know the different services we have and so forth. And so what we did is actually receive funding from the Virginia G. Piper Charitable Trust for a strategic planning grant, and also to look at a very large focus group as well as audience survey of our members of the Mesa Arts Center, of the Arizona Museum of Natural History, as well as the Phoenix Children's Museum and the Desert Botanical Garden. And we asked them what did they like about us, what is our strategic assets that we have, and then also what would they like to have more of that may not be available in the Valley. And we were pleasantly surprised to find out that we have the highest interaction of adult and child in the country of any children's museum.
Wow.
And we know that because we utilized Reach Advisors based out of New York and California to help us with our survey. So they were able to look at our data and then back it up against the data that is actually countrywide.
Okay.
And that was great news. We also learned that our audience really loves to create things. And as you know, we have been all about a children's museum focused on the arts since our inception 35 years ago. So we wanted to offer more opportunities for both creating as well as more opportunities for interaction between child and adult, rather than just being a simple play space where parents can kind of sit on the sidelines and play with their iPhone. They really are engaged. So we're excited about that.
Good.
And then the next phase of it was to actually take that and look at a creative brief and put it on crowdsourcing on a site and have folks, we were so surprised, we got 500 different logos from around the world, and in fact ended up choosing an individual from Great Britain to do our logo. Yes.
I think I knew that. I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool.
So we're very excited, and we use the firm of Creative Engine because we really love the Arizona Sci-Tech Festival's logo, and they did theirs the same way by crowdsourcing.
Okay.
And then the third most obvious plan was to then implement a marketing plan, which we're in the middle of. So people may see banners on the streets and billboards and see a lot of social media, and we have a new website, ideamuseum.org. So we're excited about that.
And you've changed the front of your museum.
Yes, we were able to do some painting, and we were able to also put some xylophones on the front, so it's a little more fun. So you can't help but really want to go in the building when you pass it by, since it is a renovated grocery store.
So tell us what a family, a parent, child, what they might expect when they come to the museum now.
Well, once they get past the xylophones, there are 3 spaces that they can enjoy. One is Artville, which has really been a hit for 11 years. It's for 0 to 4-year-olds, and I actually have some things from there.
Talk to us.
This is a pony that they can try on and wear in the performing arts area.
You put that on?
You put that on. Of course, it's for someone a little bit smaller than
We wouldn't ask you
or
to
I.
put it on right now.
No,
but
I don't think that'll work.
Okay.
But you can pretend to be a pony in our
Okay.
performing arts area.
What happened to the days when I'd get on all fours and the kids would jump on my back?
That's probably still okay, but I don't know. We'll have to see if we can order a larger pony for you. How's that sound?
Okay, good.
And then also we have a We Design area, and so kids can just play with these and create sculptures, and of course they're
Cool.
adults on light tables, and we have our favorite pixel wall that people have enjoyed, and that got moved
Right.
into Artville. We also have enlarged our art studio, so you can come in and paint and do hands-on messy kinds of things
Right.
in that area as
Okay.
well. And all important, we also added a train, because we know how little ones love trains. So you
Okay.
can go in the train and pretend you're traveling around the world if you want to. And that's at Tot Depot.
Okay.
So that's Artville changes. And then on the other side, our largest change is we no longer have Art Zone, and we now have a gallery called The Hub, because a hub is meant to be a center of activity. So we have 11 different activity spaces. And I brought some examples from one of them. I don't think these fit. They might fit you. I'm not. But these are actually glasses that you can make in our face frames area of the gallery. And you can also learn more about glasses and scientifically and artistically, read to your child some different stories. But we were really pleased that Garrett Light of California Optical loaned us some of his historic collection of glasses.
Oh.
So families can really look at art and science of glasses.
Okay.
And then we also have a sound dome, which is soundscapes. You can go in and try to chase different sounds, frog or bird chirping. That's a lot of fun, and that was developed by Kim Headley, who actually developed this method for autistic children.
Oh.
And so we invited her to create this for us for families. We also have an area that is Odyssey of the Mind, or Odyssey Cafe, and you can be challenged with your family to solve problems.
Oh.
You can also enjoy the recyclery and have fun in there, creating different items and art masterpieces from recycled objects. And some people don't realize the importance of doodling, so we have a whole section devoted to that.
Okay.
As Sonny Brown
A
would
lot of
say.
bored people out there, huh?
Yes, exactly. Well, believe it or not, it helps you to focus your attention.
Really?
If you're
On
in a
something
lecture.
else that's completely not happening at the place you're at.
Well, scientific evidence has revealed that if you're doodling in that math lecture or a lecture, you actually retain more information,
Really?
much better than daydreaming.
Oh, that explains a lot. Okay.
And presidents, John F. Kennedy doodled lots of different sailboats on his papers, and then
Yes.
Reagan actually doodled cowboys. So
Of
doodling
course.
is very important. As we know, creative people like Jim Henson doodled different characters on a napkin before they came to life.
Interesting.
So we have that. We also have a wonderful art exhibit in that area, which our fabulous iPad art area that we had before, which was for iPads, was so popular that we now have a larger area. They can actually create with it and then print their work off. And so that's fun. So there's a lot of different areas. There's 11 of them in all.
Okay.
And then we have a third area, which is our John Whiteman Exhibition Gallery, and we have Art of the Robot. And you can kind of see a picture of our robot here.
Right.
This is done by Aaron Voigt, and he greets you in our lobby, and he actually grew up at the museum and lives in Mesa. So we're very proud to say
Very good.
he really learned all about looking at the world differently at the Arizona Museum for Youth, now Idea Museum, and really enjoyed. In fact, it has a gas pump for the ears on the robot. And this is our membership brochure, because besides, of course, paying admission, you can also become a member of the museum. So Art of the Robot actually looks at 46 different artists from around the country with lots of different work, ranging from items like that to one that glows in the dark that's really interesting, that was done by Cybercraft, an artist that is based in Florida. So we, as you know, don't have a collection, so we look for either collection to bring to us, or we look for different artists that would be part of a theme that we're doing, like Extreme Pets that we did last year.
Okay.
And right now, on my way over here, they just announced our zoo encounter, which is with a robot zoo. We actually have some different works that we bring out and share with visitors, including the body double that we have from the IT department here in Mesa, which is
yes.
an iPad on wheels, and that's been a lot of fun.
Right.
Or Robo Sapien. We also have a Roomba, so people have a lot of fun with that.
Okay.
And there's lots of activities with it too, because they can create their own robot. They can also create a dream robot. They can try their hand at some robotic arms. When we had our We Love Our Members event on Friday, we had the robots from the SWAT team in the city of Mesa come out,
Oh,
and that
very
was
cool.
great.
Good.
So those are some of the things.
So, Sunny, as a parent who's looking for an opportunity to come down and find out more about what's happening at the Idea Museum, what's the best way for them to find out that information?
Well, the best way is probably the internet, which
Okay.
is ideamuseum.org is our new website.
Okay.
And we are open Tuesdays through Saturday, 9 to 4,
Okay.
and then Sundays, 12 to 4. And we also have the ever-popular Target-Free Sundays on the first Sunday of the month, which people can enjoy. We also have workshops and classes that people can partake in as well, like messy creations. That's always a lot of fun.
Find all that on the webpage then.
Yes,
All right.
exactly.
Sunny, thank you very much.
Thank you,
We'd like to
Chris.
thank Sunny and congratulate her on opening of the Idea Museum and for being on our show today. With me now is Vice Mayor Alex Finter, who represents District 2 with the City of Mesa. Alex, welcome to the show.
Very nice to be here.
Good. So you represent District 2. You also serve as the Vice Mayor. So let's first maybe focus on District 2 for just a little bit. I know that when you first came on to the council, one of your priorities was really engaging the neighborhoods and the neighbors in the neighborhood to get them activated and working on a lot of community projects. Tell us a little bit about what your experience has been in working with the neighborhoods and what you're seeing happening with your neighbors out there.
Boy, it's been a really positive set of experiences to go through. District 2 is kind of in the central part of the city, and it's a sea of houses for the most part. It's where everybody lives. And we have neighborhoods in different stages of the economic levels, and we have some neighborhoods that have lots of challenges, and we have some big, beautiful million-dollar home neighborhoods. And so I was able to see and had a lot of feedback from the folks there in the district that they were concerned about some deterioration or some challenges. And so it was nice to be a part of a coming together of volunteer groups who were going out and looking at some of the challenges we had, and with a little bit of help from the city, taking on projects and trying to make their neighborhoods better. And that feedback that we were getting from them, we were able to provide assistance in different areas and help them to preserve and enhance and improve their neighborhoods. And so it's been fun to see the outpouring of service that's there.
Good, good. Well, and I think it's also very rewarding when you're able to participate in programs, projects like that, especially when they're in your own neighborhood. Because one, you get to kind of give something back, and especially I've seen, whether it's in the parks or helping a neighbor with their, they may need painting of the house or cleaning up in the yard. It's very special. But I think the other part that's kind of always fun about those activities, you get to know your neighbors too. You get to know the other people that maybe not next door, but in the general area. I think there's a lot of value to that also.
There is. It was interesting. We had one situation where an elderly woman that liked to collect things, she was a widow and had quite a bit of things at her house. And it was a point of concern for a lot of her surrounding neighbors. And so what we were able to do as we visited is to be able to come up with a plan of action to actually assist her. So we didn't have phone calls to our code enforcement officers or any kind of police action. The idea was, how can we gather together and help her to kind of get things cleaned up in a better situation for her. And so fun to be able to, we provide a dumpster and some of the efforts and a little bit of coordination, scout troops there, other members from the neighborhood. And what could have been a pretty negative situation for her and building for the neighbors turned out to be a very positive coming together and service activity. And I think that's actually the model we need to use many times throughout the city when we have difficult situations or deteriorating situations, instead of making the first call to the city enforcement branch. That's a very costly service that we provide, and we're limited in the staff that we have to be able to do some of that. So great learning experience for everybody involved, that there's a better way to do this to kind of improve the neighborhood that you live in.
I like that idea. Everybody takes ownership then. What's happening in the neighborhood, it's not just pointing fingers and expecting someone to solve the problem.
Right.
So I think to become part of the solution.
That is. And, very nice to see, that front porch approach where people are actually communicating. I think maybe in society, as we get as a big city, we kind of miss some of those opportunities to just reach out and visit with your neighbor or your friend or And you know, we have often, what I love here in District 2 and throughout the city is many of the service groups are calling the Scout Eagle projects, and they're looking for that opportunity to serve. And boy, it's a point of pride, I think, for our city.
Sure. And we have a volunteer coordinator and others to help that out. And so that we always want people to know that they can take advantage of that in the city.
More and more. It's been neat. We've had our Building Strong Neighborhoods in several areas, and one of the parts of the message that I try to deliver as we start those off is we're emphasizing this effort. We're here to support you. This is your effort. And by doing a little bit of work now, we can actually save a lot of money because we're keeping the neighborhoods that might have this potential to turn and get a little worse, handling it while it's small. It saves money. You're happier. Your investment in your homes in the area increase. So it's a better way to do things.
It's definitely the model.
It
You're
is
absolutely
the
right.
model.
That's the ideal. Now, Alex, not too long ago, just recently, the council had its annual strategic planning discussion where it talks about kind of looking forward and talking about kind of defining the vision for the council. This last one, there was an opportunity the council had to kind of look back a little bit about the things that have gone well over the last 5 to 6 years, and also kind of talk going forward. Share with us some of your impressions about what's been accomplished early on while you've been on council, and kind of what are you looking forward to as the council kind of moves forward into the future.
Well, as a brief look back in history, when we took office, it was shortly, a matter of just a week or two afterwards, we found out that we were going into what has turned out to be the Great Recession. And we realized there was a lot of challenges on how government was going to be able to provide the service. Resources were dwindling, lots of challenges, as you well know. And what's been exciting to see is kind of the reinvention or the rethink of how services at a local level are provided in the community. There were no sacred cows. As you well know, is a sometimes difficult process. But the one I point to the most, because I have a background in it, is looking at public safety and specifically fire department. In the old days, we were kind of using a model a little bit akin to delivering pizzas and cement mixers. And we had to try and figure out what is the best way with these very expensive and very limited resources to provide that public safety, which I think is a very vital and foundational role of government. How can we do that better? And I think in the fire department, we are now, as you see in the fire and medical department here in Mesa, they're receiving national awards because they have taken that model and how we deliver services. And when I go out and talk with folks, this is what I tell them. In the old days, we would for a little call, we'd send a big truck and big people. Well, now we're taking the opportunity, if it's a big call, it gets a big truck with a lot of people. If it's a little call, it gets a little truck with little people. Right. And people don't realize
fewer people. They're not
fewer. Not smaller in stature, but less number of people.
Right, size it.
Yeah, and people don't realize one of those tires on one of the big ladder trucks, and they have 10 of those tires are $800 a piece. And so when you look at the number of miles and what they're traveling, we just had to look at a different way to do things. So I consider that a great accomplishment that has occurred here in the city of Mesa through these difficult times is if you're a reformer and you want a better way of doing government, we have done all of that and much, much more in the last 5.5, 6 years of government here. And I think people would be very appreciative to know that we're working a lot smarter with their tax dollars.
Good. So then kind of looking forward, how do you see the council able to continue keeping that momentum going for the next few years?
And I love that word. It's been my new theme word throughout every visit and every talk that I give is momentum. There's a tremendous momentum in this community right now. Success is happening. All of the investment and all the rethinking of how we do things through this very challenging time, now is the time for it to pay dividends. This is the time to look for the opportunities to have successes. I think everybody realizes that Apple was a great success and a great win for this community, but so much more than just that international company name and the great jobs that are here. That is very indicative of what I would call the Mesa way of doing things. People are looking at how streamlined the government is here, as these big international corporations that are looking around to relocate, they're able to look at our community, and thanks to your good work and the staff members and all of the city employees and the community coming together, we're able to say that this is the place that you can do business and do it quickly and bring those jobs and economic development and growth here. And I would say that is a victory of great proportion.
Wonderful, good. Well, I think those are all important. We appreciate your leadership and helping guide the city, kind of keeping it, looking at the big picture as we move forward. So thank you for what you do. Anything else you want to visit about with District 2 or the city overall? You think we're heading, it sounds like things are heading in a good direction. Anything specific you'd like to see accomplished over the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of people talk to me. There sounds like there's going to be some changes in leadership as we come through. We have our great mayor that's possibly making a run for governor, and many people have approached me and said, well, are these all these great things that are happening in the community, will they dwindle? And what we've all said, and I hear from the mayor and from you and others, is this is way bigger than any one individual. This is a culture of success. I think as we keep this momentum moving and going forward, that people are going to be excited to see some of the results. And my hope is that as we travel through these next few years, that we can maintain our political stability, which I think is very important. Many people don't realize that the mayor and the council serve as the chairman of the board and board of directors in most business settings. And with our CEO, which is a city manager, when you have everybody working together in a positive way, sometimes you look at other communities or even the federal government and see some of the dysfunction, you realize that you are not going to get some of the successes when you have, some of the dysfunction that occurs in some local governments. So it's my hope, and I think that we're very well poised for this political stability as we move into the future, continuing this success that we have and continuing this momentum.
Thank you, Alex. Mesa's Vice Mayor Alex Fincher, also representing District 2. Thank you for being here on the show today.
Thank you.
Thanks to a partnership with Target, Mesa offers 3 for free. Free admission to any of its 3 museums on the first Sunday of each month from noon till 5 p.m. Visit the beautiful galleries at the Mesa Contemporary Arts. Play and create art at the Idea Museum. Learn about dinosaurs and more at the Arizona Museum of Natural History. Come down and explore what Mesa has to offer you with 3 for free. All museums are located in downtown Mesa. For more information, visit mesaartscenter.com.
Welcome back. With me now is Tom Wilson, Museum Administrator for the Arizona Museum of Natural History. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Chris. Nice to be here.
So wait a minute. Before we get started, what did you bring, or who did you bring? What is this?
This is a friend of mine. He's a dog from Colima, which is a state in West Mexico, and he was probably born somewhere between 200 BC and 200 AD. He's sometimes called an emaciated dog, but actually what he is just the skinless dogs that you had indigenous to Mexico at that time.
Oh, interesting.
And you see he's made of ceramic and he's highly polished. And this was given to us as a gift. And I wanted to underscore the importance in museum work of generous donors giving things to museums. And so in the last few years, we've had gifts of about 60 objects like this, and we're currently creating an exhibition around that gift.
So talk to us a little bit about, let's talk about donors. What are some other highlights of donor activity that the museum has benefited from?
Well, museums always try to align donations with their mission. And since our mission is the natural and cultural history of the Southwest, sort of broadly conceived, we collect objects from the Southwest, from Mexico, and also Northern South America. So we're collecting in the area of cultures of the ancient Americas right now.
Okay.
And so we look for donors who would have those kind of interests and who might be willing to give objects that would enhance our exhibitions. And we've been very lucky in that in the last few years because we've had very nice donations from the Southwest, from all over Mexico and Central America, and also now from Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia.
Now, does the donor necessarily, is it always a gift, or sometimes can they loan it for a period of time? What was most likely to occur?
Sometimes they will lend, and usually that's for a temporary exhibition. And so for a defined period of time, they would lend an object to us, and we would put it in a thematic exhibition and return it at the end of that.
Right.
What's happening to us right now in regard to these are actually gifts. And so the City of Mesa will own these in perpetuity, and they will be part of our permanent collection. So it's a very valuable thing, and it's wonderful for the city and the museum to have these great assets.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful to have donors like that. So moving forward, kind of talking about one of the large venues, assets you have is the Mesa Grande area. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on out there.
Well, Mesa Grande is a prehistoric Hohokam temple mound, and we opened it to the general public a year ago in January, so it's fairly newly opened. The remains that are still there, this large pyramid, which is about the size of a football field and 27 feet high. But what it did in the prehistoric past was sort of was a political, religious, and commercial center that would have governed the great canals coming off the Salt River in prehistoric times. So the mound itself dates to about 1100 to 1450. We now have put interpretive trails in. There's a welcoming center there, and so we invite the general public to come to Mesa Grande. And they can find out more about it at mesagrandeculturalpark.org or to the Arizona Museum of Natural History website, and then just look for archaeology. One of the things we're doing right now at Mesa Grande is developing the educational programs. So if teachers in Mesa or anywhere else in Arizona want to bring classes to Mesa Grande, they're certainly welcome. And you can find out more information on the website too. But we're doing two particular kinds of programs that might interest them. One we're calling the Hohokam Challenge. So we're asking kids, let's say fourth graders, when they come to the site, we'll say, okay, if you lived in the desert 1,000 years ago, and you had to get water to drink, how would you do it? If you had to make your clothes, how would you do it? If you had to get food, how would you do it? If you had to prepare food, how would you do it? And we'd say, okay, here's the desert.
Right.
Where do you find things to manufacture to help you out with these things? How do you grind your corn? How do you cultivate your corn and things like that. So we ask that. Then on the other side, we say, okay, you're a scientist, you want to be an archaeologist or a paleontologist or something like that. You want to study the prehistoric past. How do you do that? So we talk about excavations, about collecting data, about recording that data, and about interpreting that data. So we take the process sort of from field into laboratory, and then ultimately into museums where the general public is going to learn more about the whole process and the results of excavations.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. And Justin, we want to invite everyone out to your museum, whether it's Mesa Grande or even to the museum downtown, to experience all the collections that we have there. So let's talk a little bit about some, you're in a planning stage about adding kind of a new dynamic dinosaurs, animatronic dinosaurs. So give us a little preview of what you're expecting to happen in that regard.
Well, animatronic means that it moves in a robotic fashion.
Okay.
And right now on Dinosaur Mountain, which is a 3-story high mountain inside the museum where we have a flash flood about every 25 minutes, it's very active, we have animatronic dinosaurs. We have a T-Rex, a Stegosaurus, and a Triceratops. But these guys are getting kind of old. I mean, in reality, they're older than 65. They're older than 65 million years. But anyway, the ones that we have are getting a little bit old. So we have plans to get 3 new ones. So they will have more modern robotic parts and things like that. They'll move more smoothly, and it will renovate the mountain, which is an award-winning exhibition at the Arizona Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm always amazed too, just the work that is done by volunteers and your own staff there at the museum also. So
we get about 18,000 hours of volunteer work every year, the equivalent of about 8 full-time people. We could not operate the museum without the dedicated volunteers that we have.
Right.
Yes.
What are some of the what's going on at the museum today? Anything of significance that we should see that's happening now or in the near future?
Well, one of the very fun things that's happening right now is that we have an exhibition called What Is It? So we just scoured our collections, the historical collections, the natural history collections, the archaeological collections, and we found things things that were odd or that people might not recognize. And we put them out and we just ask, what is it? Do you recognize this either from when you were a kid, or can you guess what this thing is? And then we allow them to punch 3 numbers in it, 3 buttons, and it will tell you green for yes and red for try again. And some of these things, for you and me, they might be easy to see. We have typewriters out there, for example.
Okay.
But you have to admit that a lot of kids that are kind of young now have never used a typewriter.
Right.
We have tape recorders and things like that. But believe it or not, the thing that actually is most enticing to kids in the exhibition is a telephone booth. Think of it. Kids have never been in a telephone booth.
You have to be confined to one space to talk on the phone.
They line up to get in this telephone booth. It's incredible. That's one thing. We have our Pteranodon show, the great flying reptiles of the Mesozoic is there, where we have these wonderful flying reptiles from about 100 million years ago. And actually, then we're working on a temporary exhibition of the new collections. So it'll be called Cultures of the Ancient Americas, probably open in about 2 months. They can watch the website for that information, and it will cover it will have all these new finds that we have from the Southwest, from Mexico and Central America, and from Peru. And it's not only ceramics. We have wonderful Navajo textiles. We have Southwestern baskets. We have stone sculptures from both Northern South America and from Central America. So it's really a variety of things, but they're marvelous treasures. Marvelous, marvelous.
Awesome. Well, what a neat thing to have donors like that who, one, have these collections, and two, that they have a lot of trust in the museum and recognizing the value of being able to get their donations out for the public to see and learn about those cultures and the history.
Those are kind of the reasons that motivate them, because they know that if they're in the public domain, they're going to be cared for properly forever.
Right.
And that they will have that educational impact too, because they will be viewed by the public. The public can either see them, study them. It encourages you to go ahead with your lifelong learning and just learn more about it.
Sure.
I mean, right now, any viewer can just look at Colima Dog or Colima Antiquities, and they can find all the kind of rich sculptures that you get just from West Mexico, not to mention the Maya area, Central Mexico, Veracruz, Oaxaca, where we got other donations as well.
Wow. So a lot of interesting things to see and come experience at the museum. Once again, Tom, tell us if someone out there is interested in coming down to the museum or learning about what you have there, what's the best way to find out that information?
I think the best way is to look at the website, azmnh.org, or just, of course, Google Arizona Museum of Natural History. You can find times. We're open 6 days a week. I should underscore we're a very family-friendly place. Kids love the place. There's a lot of interactives. We're making it more interactive all the time, so there's lots of things for kids to do with their parents or caregivers. And so it's just a lot of fun to come to the museum. You can spend a lot of time there. There's a lot of exhibitions and a lot of things to see. You can have a lot of fun, but you also learn a lot when you come.
Yeah, no, right in downtown Mesa,
Right in downtown Mesa.
Fabulous place. So, Tom, thanks for being here with us today.
My
We
pleasure.
really appreciate it.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you. Joining me now is District 3 Council Member Dennis Kavanaugh. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Thank you, Chris.
You've been on the show several times, well, no, many times. So give us a little update, kind of what's going on in District 3.
Well, District 3 has a lot of things happening, both from the north of the district to the south of the district.
Yeah, sure.
And the north part, we had the great dedication of Cubs Park last week. And I know I represent all the people on the south side of the street from the park. And I know that I've had a lot of favorable comments from people about Riverview Park, about the ballpark, and about the city's plans for controlling traffic during the game. So the people are excited, and they're not really fearful that it's going to have a bad impact on their neighborhood. The central part of the district is going great guns as well with the Central Mesa Light Rail extension. And we reached the halfway point for that very recently. And it's really going along in a very nice manner. And I'm hoping that construction will be complete in March or April of 2015. After that point in time, there's usually a period of up to 6 months of testing and things like that before the trains actually start. But so far, the contractor seems to be on budget and on time, which is good. So we're hopeful to continue minimizing the impact of businesses there. Now, the south part of the district is also busy, and that's probably best exemplified by all the public and private investment going on in the Fiesta District.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the Fiesta District with the road improvements on Southern. Forget how many years ago, a few years ago, the council made a commitment to really improving Southern and kind of looking at it as a way to create a destination location for that area around the Fiesta Mall. We've already gone in and done a lot of the water and sewer, the infrastructure work, which of course we buried. Now there's work on the improvements to Southern. Tell us a little bit about what you expect to see kind of coming out of that project as we complete this phase and then look forward to doing additional phases in the future.
Well, I think up to this point, residents have seen what looks like a fairly standard street construction project. But now I think they're going to really get an eyeful of some of the other kinds of improvements. I think there's going to be a series of pocket parks, or nodes, as our staff is calling them.
The bureaucratic term for
bureaucratic term.
Park.
It'll be a nice shady place
there you go.
for people to sit and stop and relax as part of the linear park concept that we're trying to accomplish along Southern. Another way that landscape architects might describe it as a series of rooms along Southern, and so that work will be going on. The other exciting part is the work on the undergrounding of lines is taking place. Some of the very large electric transmission lines have to stay, but it's a first. SRP has given the city permission to do wraps on the lower parts of those transmission towers. And so that again will, I think, change the character and look of Southern. And so I think in the next couple months, I think residents are going to get a better idea of kind of the boulevard concept, the park concept. That is phase one of this project.
Right. And ultimately, we want to continue as well, and it was approved by the voters to take this project all the way west to the Tempe boundaries.
To the canal, just west of Banner Desert Hospital.
Right, to the canal.
The other thing that people will, I think, see sometime this year is fairly dramatic entry points to the Fiesta District. The base for that monument signage went in on Dobson last month. And so those are going to be pretty dramatically lit at night and make a pretty bold statement. So a lot of activity with that streetscape project.
Well, it's like tell everyone, even though the private sector is still trying to figure out, kind of going through its evolution of what the private properties, commercial properties are going to be, the city's going all in and making certainly a statement about what we expect with these public improvements, hoping that as the private sector kind of figures out what it wants to do out there, they'll know that at least the city certainly supports that area and thinks that area is has a lot of value for those that live in the area and really as a regional commercial center.
Well, and I think the private sector is responding because we're seeing good churn in terms of properties. At least 4 of the shopping centers in the Fiesta District have changed ownership within the past year. This includes the Fiesta Crossing, where TC Eggington's is, Mesa Fiesta, where Upper Iowa is going in, and some dramatic changes to that project. Polka Fiesta Center, again, is undergoing a lot of transformation. And then recently, we've heard that the Bed Bath & Beyond Center has also been acquired and will undergo a complete transformation. And so it's nice to see the private sector looking at the city investment and making the private investment into those sites, which are high profile. The other thing that is important is that a long-delayed apartment project called Southern Villas is going to be breaking ground this year at Extension and Southern. So you won't be able to get your pumpkins or your Christmas trees anymore, but there's going to be about 378 luxury housing units there. And that project's been completely redesigned to conform to the Fiesta design guidelines. And the streetscape for that project is going to be matching up with what the city has done. I think you look at that. The other kind of hidden gem is the all the investment that Mesa Community College is currently doing on its campus. You have a 500-seat performing arts center at the old Harkins Theaters. You have a $3 million arts gallery under construction, and you have a new student services building that will be going up on the campus. So that's some major investment by the college.
Yeah, a lot of activity going on in that area. Now, Dennis, just recently the council came together for its annual strategic planning discussion, talked about some of the successes, a lot of the successes that it's enjoyed over the last few years, and then kind of talked about looking forward and how to keep that momentum going. Share with us maybe some of your thoughts about what's happened over the last 5-6 years. What you're most proud of and things that have been accomplished.
I do have to say that I've had a lot of highs and lows during my time on council throughout 4 terms, but the last 5 years has really been the most enjoyable. And it's because the council has really worked cohesively as a team. On every major project, we have found a way to find a unanimous vote on that public policy project. And that says a lot. That's what developers are looking for, investors in your community are looking for. We listen to each other. It may take a little longer, but the project has buy-in from members of the council and investment by the people that they represent. And so that's why I think you see a string of amazing successes that pretty much are unparalleled, I think, in any other city in Arizona over the same period of time, which again was one of economic turmoil.
Right.
And so many of those decisions that we've made were approved by voters, and really for years to come, the community is going to see the results of those decisions in the new parks, the new amenities, the renovation of parks, the focus on quality of life in our community. And so it's, for me, it's been a tremendously enjoyable time.
Wonderful. Looking forward, what are some things you're looking forward to coming up?
Well, it's anytime you have a new leadership coming on to a council, it can change your dynamic slightly. I've probably had the most experience with this of people in the council, and it's always something that really the council and the community should embrace, because the influx of new talent, new blood, new ideas always, I think, helps to strengthen an organization like the city council. And so a year from now, our council will have some different people serving on it. And I'm very impressed by many of the candidates who are running for council and for mayor. And so that's going to be one of the things to watch. If you're a political observer, it's always entertaining, particularly if you don't have to run. I like that. I like being in that position.
Sure. Good. Well, Dennis, thanks for being on the show with us today. We appreciate your service with the city.
Thank you very much.
Dennis Kavanaugh from Mesa District 3. Well, we've talked about a lot of topics today on the Mesa Now show, but one of the things we want to talk about today is how important it is to have good people that work for you. So Lily, tell us how long you've been working on this show, Mesa Now.
How long I've been working on this show?
Putting it together, not just, a lot of people don't know, Lily doesn't just appear here in the front, but she's often behind the camera on Mesa Now. So tell us a little bit about
the process.
Sure. How do we make decisions about what happens on the show?
Well, we have a powwow.
We have a powwow. That's the official technical term they learn in journalism school.
Technically, we have a pre-production meeting,
Pre-production meeting, that sounds more like it, yes.
We have a pre-production meeting, and then we do a run of show and figure out who and what guests we would like to have on the show like today.
And then you go out and grab all the guests and script them up and get it all ready.
And we schedule them all, and then they magically appear on the little box.
So Lily, how long have we been doing Mesa Now?
Mesa Now, well, this is our 28th show.
Wow. Of
Mesa Now. So I would have to say we've been doing this for several years, I would say 8 years or so, or even more so than that.
So in that context, how long have you been with the city?
I've been with the city probably closer to, I want to say maybe 15.
15 years, you got it right. So I'm here today to present to you, here we go, Lily King Cisneros, Certificate of Service, 15 years with the city of Mesa.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
So that is the conclusion of our show. We wanted to say thank you to Lily for helping us put this all together.
Well, I couldn't do it without you, Chris.
Oh yeah, it is my show.
It is your
That's
show.
good.
Thank you. We want to thank all of our guests for also appearing on our show. And if you wanted to look up any other additional information, you can always visit mesanow.org.
That's right, Lily. And we'd like to thank all our guests on today's show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.